WWE Executive Vice President of Talent, Live Events, and Creative, Paul Levesque, also known, of course, as Superstar Triple H. It's great to have you on the show.
It's great to be here.
Loved having your wife a few weeks ago, Stephanie McMahon. She is a force of nature,
yes.
As are you.
And I'm biased, but I tend to love her, so yeah.
How do you guys fit everything that you do? And I mean, because you are performing in the ring, you're helping to run this huge worldwide company. How do you balance all of that? And you're a father of 3 young daughters. Yeah,
it's the tough part. 10, 8, and 6. It's a busy time. It's a busy time. I say to my wife all the time, I don't know how you do it. She looks at me and says the same sometimes. You just make it work, right? No different than anybody else in the world. You make it work. You do what you can. We don't sleep much.
Yeah.
But I don't know, sleep's overrated a little bit. I read all these things about the negative effects. Doesn't seem to be bothering me yet. So.
Okay, can we talk about this for a second? Because you have these legendary midnight workouts.
Yeah.
Okay, because I follow you on social media, as do millions of others. And the crazy things that you guys do training at midnight, I mean, it seems almost superhuman. How, do you go to sleep and then get up and do this stuff? Or do you stay up and do it?
No, you know what's funny is a lot of people on social will send feedback saying, like, what is the secret of the midnight? Is there some kind of secret thing that makes midnight more effective? Like, no, that's just when we have time to do it. You know, you get the kids down, you get them to sleep, you get something to eat, and then my trainer, Joe DeFranco, shows up, and
it's a pretty special trainer that shows up at midnight.
Yeah,
I gotta
he
say.
is. He's very good, and you just do it. That's what. It's when you have the time, and there's the hashtag that we put on it, do the work. Like, I'm just a big believer. If you want it, you do the work. You see, you're going to have to make sacrifices in your life for the things you want. Sometimes that's going to be sleep. You're not going to get to sleep when you want to.
How much sleep do you get? So you're working out for an hour.
5 is a magnificent night.
Wow.
5 hours.
So you're getting to bed at like 2 and getting up at something like that.
Yeah, getting up when the kids roll in the room and go, hey, I'm up. Yeah.
How is performing for you now compared to when you started out? Is it as gratifying now? What does it mean to you at this point in your career?
I think it's almost more so gratifying. I just can appreciate it more. You know, with age comes wisdom, right? I guess. You appreciate it. You appreciate that it's kind of could be the last time or one of the few last times that you do it. You just tend to appreciate it more. You tend to enjoy the crowd more. When you're in the thick of doing it, you know, people talk about the Attitude Era for WWE being this magical time. We didn't realize that. We were just doing it. You didn't realize.
You were just going day after day.
Yeah,
right?
and I feel in some ways right now for us is like this golden time. It's like this great time. And it's funny, Vince and Steph and I were just talking about the other day. It's this great time right now. All these changes with the network and all the things that are happening with us globally within the WWE.
You're expanding internationally.
It's just growing immensely globally, becoming this even bigger than it is, and it's huge, but it seems like this magical time, but it's hard to step back and realize that because you're just there doing it. You're
right in the thick of it.
Yeah, yeah.
Where are you finding new talent?
Everywhere. You know, it used to be a few years ago, we kind of sat back and let talent try to find us. It was hard to get in the business. When I started, it was impossible to get anybody to give you any advice or figure out how to do something. I wanted to change all that. And so we opened up the Performance Center, which is kind of the 30,000 square foot state of the art. It compares to anything the NFL
You're training
has.
people to become WWE stars.
And that's kind of the carrot, right? And then I go out there all around the globe, whether that's China. We just signed 10 Chinese athletes from our tryout there last year, whether that's Malaysia, Singapore, everywhere in the globe. We'll be in Dubai the end of the month. You know, we go everywhere. We look for athletes from any sport, anything.
How much do you recruit, like, say, NFL players? I mean, how much are you working with leagues to find?
A lot.
Are you?
Yeah. You know, it's a funny thing. The NFL releases, I don't have the exact statistic, but like 400 players a year. Think of all the players that come out of college, 22 years old, they're a 10th shy in the 40. They missed their bench press mark by a couple of reps. But they're huge fans, they're larger than life personalities, and they're in the upper 1% of athletes on the globe. We just present them that option and say, hey, look, we're an option. And then they come in and they try it. And when they see what we offer and that it is the same level of training and everything else that they've received their entire career in their life, and they want to continue to be an athlete and do that grind that an athlete does and that they love.
I mean, you
and
guys
this
go
is
like
the place for
300
them.
days a year.
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking about sitting out NBA players in our last segment.
And
right?
you'll see players, I see it all the time. I'll see an NFL guy come in that is kind of like, well, I'll give it a try. And he come in and a week later, they're like, they have the bug bad.
Right.
And that crowd, because in some ways, this is not a knock on anybody, but in some ways we're everything that the NFL won't allow them to be. The individual player, it's about their brand as much as it's about our brand. And getting themselves.
This is certainly an era where that is, primary concern for athletes.
Yeah,
right?
and getting themselves to be this massive star. That's what we want, because when they become a massive star, it works for us.
I don't think people understand one thing, and that's because we talk about health and safety with athletes, in all the pro sports.
Yes.
I'm not sure that the general sports fan realizes how much in the forefront you are with that.
Absolutely. We're ahead of everything, whether that comes to concussion protocols, whether that comes to cardiac care for our athletes. They're constantly tested, they're constantly monitored, and we're at the very, very forefront of all of that. We try to stay a step ahead of it. It's one of the biggest things we do, but we try to do that with our athletes and make them as well-rounded, not only health-wise, but in everything that we do, whether that be continuing education as they're training and media training and everything else, to make them the most well-rounded, financial training, life skill training. We want them to be well-rounded in their life, not just when they're an athlete for us, but when that time is over, to move on, to continue with a successful life, be healthy, and be ambassadors for what we do.
Everybody wants to be a part of it. And I have to ask you about WrestleMania, which is coming up, WrestleMania 33 in Orlando, April 2nd, because Shaquille O'Neal and The Big Show have been trading jabs on social media, and a lot of people thought they might meet at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
Where does that stand?
It's a funny thing that we have conversations with Shaq all the time. I think he and Big Show are having a lot of fun, egging each other on. Who would have thought that both Shaq and Big Show would have both have abs? They've talked themselves both into getting in shape. It's phenomenal. It's a win-win for both of them, whether anything happens or not. You know what I mean?
But you're not going to really commit to anything.
Well, I think it's all on Shaq and Big Show and what they really want to do. Right now, I think they're just poking each other, poke the bear. But
we do know you're going to be facing Seth Rollins, right? It's your 21st WrestleMania as a performer. Do you put pressure on yourself to top your previous performances?
Every year.
Do you?
And I can tell you the hardest thing in the world for me is when you do this job all the time, you're just in this mode. You don't have to think, you just do. And when you don't do it for a year, I haven't wrestled. I wrestled a couple shows the other day just to get back on track, but I hadn't wrestled since last year's WrestleMania, pretty much. That year off, it's like you'd take not playing football for a year and getting thrown in the Super Bowl, and you just don't even remember the plays, and you freak out, right? So that pressure is difficult. It's really hard. I never thought about it. To me, as special as it was, when you're doing this 200, 300 days a year, WrestleMania is just another show and another day, and you're going to do it again tomorrow. So you just you want it to be special, but at the same point in time, you don't really think about it too much past that, because I do this all the time. Now it's a whole different level, and you get inside your own head. It's a lot of pressure. It really is.
And your little girls, I just can't imagine what it's like being in your family. They are growing up watching this. Your oldest daughter's in 5th grade. I mean, do any of them have the family bug, the business bug?
They do. They love it. It's interesting to see their personalities. My 10-year-old just came with me on the road the other day. Just she and I for the first time the other day, and she got in the ring with Charlotte Flair and was training with her a little bit, learning locking up and headlocks. She loves it. The middle one loves watching it. She's much more into art and everything, and the little one is just obsessed with John Cena.
Oh, she is?
Yes.
John Cena? Well, who isn't?
Yeah, well, I think that's the thing.
That's it.
She does not like Nikki Bella at all. It's just for stealing her man.
She's all about John Cena.
Yes, at 6, and she mostly just does it because it bothers Daddy.
There you go. There you go. Yeah, she tweaks Dad. Anything to get a reaction from Mom and Dad. You know how it is.
Oh, absolutely.
wishing you all the best. I
Thank
hope
you very much.
WrestleMania is, again, as big a success as they all have been, and we're going to be there in Orlando covering it. So very nice to meet you.
It's a whole week worth of
Yes.
worth of fun and entertainment. 5 events all sold out. It's going to be crazy.
That's awesome. Please give my best to Stephanie.
I definitely will. Thank you very
Thanks.
much.
I mean, it seems almost superhuman. Do you go to sleep and then get up and do this stuff, or do you stay up and do
No,
it?
you know what's funny is a lot of people on social will send feedback saying, like, what is the secret of the midnight? Is there some kind of secret thing that makes midnight more effective? Like, no, that's just when we have time to do it. You know, you bias, but I tend to love her show, yeah.
How do you guys fit everything that you do in? I mean, because you are performing in the ring, you're helping to run this huge worldwide company. How do you balance all of that? And you're a father of 3 young daughters.
Yeah, it's the tough part, 10, 8, and 6. But I read all these things about the negative effects. Doesn't seem to be bothering me yet. So.
Okay, can we talk about this for a second? Because you have these legendary midnight workouts.
Yeah.
Okay, because I follow you on social media, as do millions of others. And the crazy things that you guys do training at midnight.
It's a busy time. It's a busy time. I say to my wife all the time, I don't know how you do it. She looks at me and says the same sometimes. You just make it work, right? No different than anybody else in the world. You make it work. You do what you can. We don't sleep much.
Yeah.
But I don't know, sleep's overrated a little.
WWE Executive Vice President of Talent, Live Events, and Creative, Paul Levesque, also known, of course, as Superstar Triple H. It's great to have you on the show.
It's great to be here.
Loved
Really
having
is.
your wife a few weeks ago, Stephanie McMahon. She is a force of nature,
Yes.
as are you.
And I'm